officer on average to 85 per officer on average, and it'll allow us to spend more time with each defendant. Finally, we have the Bail and Bond Review Committee, and what we've done is very exciting. There is a matrix that in the past we've used, and I'm not going to do it justice, but I'm going to share with you as much as I can, that defendants are evaluated prior to being brought before the initial appearance. And they're given a score based upon their risk of failure to appear and their risk to reoffend. And within that score, they're put into a chart, a grid chart. In the past, that grid chart talks about whether to release or not release. This chart has changed that, flipped it on its head, and it's really focused on, should you choose to release, Judge, these are the conditions. These are the supportive services that should be put in place. And it can go from own recognizance to a severe or a very restrictive form, or anything combined in between. Now, I'll tell you why this is exciting is that we've worked with national advisors in designing this, and I've talked with them, and they've told me this is the first instrument in the nation that looks at it this way. And they applaud our efforts, they applaud putting this together, and they are promoting it to other jurisdictions. And we are just about ready to roll it out. We're expecting first quarter of 2024. We're going to be putting that forward, we're going to be training our judges, and we're going to be using that instrument going forward. There was a mention during the public comment relating to the financial assessment tool, which is an important aspect of analysis. And frankly, it's the absence of a state-accepted financial analysis is an important issue to look at. You may be aware, I believe I mentioned last time, the state has put together similar work groups as we put together. We were first, I'll say, but they have state work groups, and we have members on each of the committees. The state work group has taken the financial assessment tool to heart. They are working on it, and we are working, using our input to work through that to go to hopefully move forward on a state-accepted financial assessment tool. That's my update. I'm available for questions, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members?
Chair Gerhalden.
Supervisor Scott.
Judge Bergen, I have great respect for you and the Superior Court and its role in our system, but I really must seriously question the robustness and seriousness of the work group's efforts in the last 6 months. Candidly, when I read the report, it didn't look like 6 months of work to me. The county administrator came up with the concept for this work group so that concerns raised by the board and the community regarding the size and composition of the jail population could be addressed along with the practices of magistrates and judges during initial appearances. 6 months from now, the IGA will come up for renewal, and I'm unlikely to vote for renewal of the IGA in its current form unless and until I see more substantive progress being made by this work group. And one of the main reasons I say that is because a lot of the items that are in this memorandum dated December 15th were shared with us back in June, including all of the cost estimates. So while I'm interested in hearing anything that you may want to share with us today, I have questions that I'm going to send to the county administrator for which I would like written responses in a memorandum to the board. And those questions are going to be as follows. Number one, the report we received states that the release conditions matrix described therein has been one of the primary areas of focus over the last 6 months. The report also states that the work group will continue to explore the increased use of preventive detention and the implementation of a financial assessment tool for bail decisions. I would like to know what specifically that further exploration will look like between now and the date for the IGA renewal. What are details the work group will be exploring? Excuse me. Second question, the report cites the 5 areas of bail outcomes where data should be collected. The first, third, and fourth items on that list apply to people arrested for felonies. My understanding is that those arrested for felonies constitute approximately 90% of the jail population. Given that the report says that pretrial services can, quote, coordinate the reporting in the above categories for defendants with felony charges, it would be helpful to have that data when we are considering the recommendations from the Blue Ribbon Commission regarding the existing jail and whether a new facility is needed. Now, I know you're saying the second quarter of 2024. I think we're going to get the recommendations from the commission around that time, maybe a little sooner, but it would be nice to have that data. Because what I've been trying to find out, and Mr. Holmes knows because of some of the conversations we've been having, what I'm trying to find out is who needs to be in the jail because they are a threat to public safety or they have been sentenced there, and who is everybody else. And we don't have that data, and it's frustrating to ask that question and not be able to get any answers to it. Third, the report repeats estimated expenses associated with programs that were first shared with the board 6 months ago. The report says there is no funding request being made at this time. You mentioned when some of those funding requests will be included in your oral report, but I'm wondering if we can also get a revised estimate on electronic monitoring based on the savings that would come about by people not being incarcerated in the jail. And the board got some written comments from Ms. Kramer to that effect that you might have been copied on. I also wanted to read from the minutes of the last meeting where we had you with us, which was back on June 20th. And Chair Grijalva mentioned 3 recommendations that the county attorney had made. Request the court report on its vetting process for magistrates appointed to conduct initial appearance hearings, including minimum and other qualifications. Request the court report on its initial appearance training process, including training materials. And 3, revisit this item in January of 2024 after the supervisors have had a chance to analyze the December 2023 report recommended by County Administrator Lesher. In the meeting, according to our minutes, you responded that you received and reviewed County Attorney Conover's letter, and it was referred to the work group. You stated that you needed to rely on the work group to make their recommendations and take steps from there. You added that it should not take a lot of time for the work group already have multiple candidates, and then in the general election after both.
To Clerk Manriquez.
Clerk Manriquez. And to clarify, this is for the appointment of April
To
Ignacio?
appoint April Ignacio.
No.
Okay, item fails 3-2. Now we'll go, I'm going to ask that we put forward a motion in support of appointing Jennifer Allen for the Pima County District 3 Supervisor. Ms. Allen's experience speaks for itself. Her background in advocacy with immigrants' rights, indigenous land rights, labor movement, voting rights, pro-neighborhood, and other efforts would be a great perspective to add to the board. In her interview, she proved to be incredibly well-prepared and knowledgeable of Pima County programs and initiatives like the Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan, an effort I know our former colleague, Supervisor Sharon Bronson, championed. Pima County's housing efforts and early education program. Overall, her professionalism is apparent, and I feel like she's ready and qualified to represent the diverse interests of District 3, and I'll put forward Jennifer Allen in the form of a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Supervisor Hines. Discussion?
Chair Grijalva.
Supervisor Scott.
For the same reasons that I cited in opposition to Ms. Ignacio's appointment, I am also not able to support Ms. Allen's appointment. Like Ms. Ignacio, she has filed a statement of interest indicating that she will be a candidate. I do not believe this board should confer the benefits of incumbency on someone who indicates they will run for a term in their own right.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Christie?
Pass.
Supervisor Hines,
I vote yes.
Supervisor Scott,
No.
Chair Grijalva,
Yes.
Clerk Manriquez, abstain. Supervisor Christie,
No.
That's 2-2, so we'll go back to Clerk Manriquez.
Clerk Manriquez, no.
Okay, so the item fails 3-2.
May I make a motion?
Supervisor Hines.
I will move that we fill the vacancy in District 3 with Kristen Randall.
In the form of a motion.
Oh, yes, and that is in the form of a motion.
Motion dies for lack of a second.
Chair Grijalva,
Supervisor Scott.
I would move that we appoint Dr. Sylvia Lee to fill out the balance of Supervisor Bronson's term.
I will second that.
Thank you. I have a motion by Supervisor Scott and a second by Supervisor Hines. Discussion?
Chair Grijalva,
Supervisor Scott.
Dr. Lee has already been elected by the voters of District 3 to represent them on the Pima Community College Governing Board, a position that she held for 6 years. She also has decades of leadership experience in a variety of capacities. She has also earned a great deal of recognition and respect throughout our community through her involvement in organizations such as Literacy Connects and Las Doñas de Tucson. She has also indicated that she will not seek a term in her own right in 2024. I believe that her experience with budgets, with policy making, with personnel, would equip her well to represent the people of District 3 for the year remaining on Supervisor Bronson's term. And in the interim, there could be robust contests in both the Democratic primary, where we already have multiple candidates, and then in the general election after both parties have made their choices for nominees. So I think this is the best, it's the most sensible and most fair outcome, not only for the people of District 3, but I believe for the board.
Thank you. Any other comments? A roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Christie,
Pass.
Supervisor Hines,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Yes.
Chair Grijalva,
Yes.
Clerk Manriquez, abstain. Supervisor Christie,
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Congratulations, Dr. Lee. I want to thank you all. Many of the candidates are here. I want to thank you all for your presence here and for your continued advocacy for Pima County and for specifically for District 3. This was obviously a very difficult vote for all of us, and I think all of you could have done a good job here. But thank you, and if it's okay, we'll go ahead and take a quick recess while we let people kind of leave if they need to. Thank you so much.